Hey everybody, Jim LeDuc here. It's the Old Guy Show, number 10, I think. And as you can tell, I'm not in my little studio in our house. I'm on the road, and so I wanted to keep with the schedule. I know I'm a little slow, but hey, I'm retired, and that's the way it is. But I wanted to share with you something today out of a book I wrote. It's called Health, Humor, and a Hole in the Wall. And as you can see, even though there's barbecue tongs violating me, I have a smile on my face, and I'm looking out onto the island with the sunshine with sunglasses and the palm trees and the beach and the waves. And so really the message is that we need to deal with aging and health issues with a sense of humor. That's the way I approach it. And so I'm going to read a little section out of this book, which, by the way, you can find on jimleducbooks.com. This is a 5-star rated book. I want to share with you something tonight about urinating at night. Realizing that this can be a real issue for men. So, women, you may want to take note on this because this might help you give some counsel to your husband if he's having issues with urinating at night. And I'm not talking so much about urinating itself, but the aim of the stream, if you get my drift. So I'm going to read a section of this. I've got a couple of sections I wanted to share with you, and I hope you enjoy it. I don't like to read, but it's coming right out of the book, and it's got some great stuff. And when men are getting older, we need to talk about urinating at night and urinating as we get older. And we have to be frank about it. So consider this my medical journal to you. And let's get started here, okay? Uh, I shall move on to discuss night urination. Unfortunately, the aging male population does not have access to infrared or night vision goggles for urination. I think that Walmart could have a great product on their hands if they could offer this kind of product for sale for men to use as they urinate at night. What do you think? However, they would need to drop the price and they would have to design the product so that it could somehow be placed or strapped onto the head quickly and easily. And it would probably need to come with an accessory like a wall hanging hook so that a guy could hang it right by the bed for quick accessibility. Sadly, there's no such thing as this nocturnal male urinary device, so we must move on. When you, as an aging gentleman, wake up in the middle of the night to go potty or go do a flyby in the kitchen for a quick snack and then go to the potty, and because you're now getting out of bed so frequently, you learn to make it to the bathroom without turning on the light. Your intentions are good. You don't want to wake up your spouse, even though she is snoring up a storm, because sometimes you end up walking into the wall or stubbing your toe on the wall, in which case you may just slip and let out a few expletives, which may wake up the spouse anyway, depending on which words escape your mouth. My wife's a little sensitive to expletives. But when she's snoring, they have to be pretty loud, but sometimes I've stubbed my toe and really done a doozy. Anyway, let's say that you make it to the bathroom and step inside. Now, just so you visualize my home, in our bedroom, we have a little toilet room right off the bedroom, right? It's got a door to it. So imagine me getting up off the bed, walking around the bed, and going into this room all without any lights on. Okay. Let's say you make it to the bathroom and step inside. Now you line up for your blind spot, your blind shot at hitting the water, or at least hit the inside of the porcelain. That's the goal, right? Unfortunately, sometimes even the best of intentions go terribly wrong. Therefore, in order to do my part to pass on some advice to those of you who may end up, sooner or later, attempting to pee in the middle of the night without turning on the light, I have been able to identify and describe the different sounds that could be created when a stream of urine strikes different types of surfaces in the toilet area. So here are the descriptions that match up the surface with the sound of urine striking that surface. There you are in the dark, standing in front of the toilet. You have touched the sides of your mid-calves against the bowl, right, to make sure you're lined up and get your bearings in front of the toilet. Maybe if you're like me, you have placed your hand on the wall at your side to double check your position and maybe to keep your balance. I have done this so frequently that over time, and this is the truth, I've completely rubbed off the paint on the wall where I put my hand as I am doing my business at night. No joke. Rubbed off the paint. There's a handprint in that little room. Now it's time to give a little abdominal push and initiate urine flow. Remember that once this happens, there is no turning back. The next moment is critical in determining whether or not you have struck your target, or you'll be forced to turn on the light in order to see for your necessary cleanup and the collateral damage area, however extensive and wherever that may be. There's a number of places where that collateral damage could take place. Next, you release the fluid and you listen to see which surface your urine is striking. If at this point you hear nothing, you are probably in serious trouble. And it means one of two things. First, it is conceivable that you're shooting blanks. No fluid is being discharged. Although highly unlikely, this has been known to happen, especially when it's in the middle of the night and you are considerably drowsy. You may possibly be in a lucid dream state where you are dreaming that you are urinating when in reality you're not. When you realize that this is happening, shake your head back into consciousness, awareness, and give a good abdominal push, and flow will commence. So if you're in that lucid dream state, just kind of shake your head and then push again and let it flow. The other alternative, if you hear nothing, is not good. If you know that fluid is flowing, then this means that your stream is hitting the floor. If you have vinyl flooring in the bathroom, if you have tile flooring, you may hear a sound. I can best describe it as sort of a dribble splatter sound if it hits tile. If you hear this sound, or if you hear nothing, commence emergency shutdown procedures and do everything in your power to bring all flow to an abrupt halt. Urinating on the floor, even for a very short period of time, results in a considerable amount of cleanup area when you're through. For some reason, when urine hits the floor, it begins to spread out quickly, and containment is very difficult. I recommend, and this may be easier said than done, that you shut down the procedure, roll out as much toilet paper you can, as fast as you can, and begin wiping down the floor immediately, before the puddle becomes a pond or worse, like a lake. Do a quick containment wipe down, then finish your business. Before returning to bed, make sure that the door is closed, turn on the light so you can see good enough to wipe up the rest of the fluid. You do not ever want your wife to go in there when there's still moisture on the seat. Bad, bad, bad. You'll be on restrictions for a long time, and you know what I mean by that. If you do not shut the door, your wife may wake up when you turn on the light. If so, then she will surely ask you what happened in the bathroom, and you will have to give her one of two explanations. The first is telling the truth, which she does not like to hear because by now she's very tired of doing the bathroom cleanup with the Comet and the other cleaning products necessary to get the job done correctly. And it gets embarrassing if you have someone else come and clean your house when they go into the bathroom. The wife kind of has to say, be careful in there. There's hazardous material around. The other alternative is that you'll have to make something up and to explain why you had to turn on the light. I can give you a few excuses I have used in the past, but even after your best attempt to cover up the truth, inevitably her response will still be to ask you in a condescending and accusatory tone if you have peed on the floor again. She knows you're pretty good. Anyway, here are a few excuses you can try, but remember, you have to do your best to sound convincing, which can be challenging in the middle of the night. First one, we were out of toilet paper and I had to change the roll. Well, give that a shot. That's easy. There's the second one. Oh, honey, you would not believe it, but I had another episode of acid reflux and I had to get up and take a pill. And my throat burns, honey. Here's the next one. It's awful, dear. I think that the chicken I ate was bad. I thought I was going to throw up. Number 4. Here's some tissue, honey. Sound sympathetic and loving. And hand her some toilet paper, which means that some advanced planning is necessary. You have to have it ready to give to her. You were sniffling in your sleep, and it sounded like you may be getting a cold. Then throw in a little sweet comment like, honey, do you know how much I love and care about you? Then give her a kiss on the cheek and cuddle with her a while. After rubbing her back gently several times, then you can carefully return to your sleeping position on your side of the bed. Just don't be in a rush during this critical procedure, as she may think you may be insensitive. In which case, this whole elaborate scheme is all for naught. This technique can only be used once a year during cold season, so be careful. You can't use it too often. She'll get it. She'll understand what's going on. One little tip here, whichever excuse you try, keep it brief. The more you talk, the more your wife will wake up. And the more she wakes up, the better her thinking process will become, and the greater the likelihood that she will realize that you are covering up the fact that you have once again urinated on her bathroom floor. It's her floor, right? Now let's get back to identifying the different noises. If you hear a low-pitched thudding noise, thudding noise, then unfortunately, my friend, your aim is way off. You have struck the rubber on the toilet plunger located on the side of the toilet. If this happens, you have one of two alternatives. You can either shut off the flow, which in the middle of the night can be very difficult, and then readjust and aim and shoot again, or you simply rotate your hips in the direction of the toilet and listen for the desired splashing sound. At this point, do not, and I repeat, do not readjust by moving your feet. If you do so, the errant spray will shoot up and down, looking something like the lines of an EKG. Thus, your cleanup will include everything from floor to underside of lid and that little space in between the bowl and the tank. Oh, that's hard to get to, right? The next sound you may hear is a loud thumping ricochet-like sound. If you hear this, your urine has struck the plastic container that holds the toilet brush. If this happens, refer to the instructions above and follow the same procedure as if you had struck the plunger. The next sound you may hear once your flow is commenced is a mid-range pitched hollow echo. If you hear this, your aim is too high. Your flow is hitting the underside of the toilet lid. Because it takes so much self-control and can cause a considerable amount of pain in shutting down the flow at this point, and the results will still resolve in cleanup in the exact same area, because as you shut off the flow, it is sort of like turning off a garden hose, with the flow slowly reducing until it's completely shut off. It is best at this point to either bend at the hips and lean forward, redirect the hose if you will, and continue the drainage without interruption. Just go for it. Just lean over, adjust the hose, keep going. You're still going to have to clean up the lid. The next possible sound you could hear, and frankly this would be a more welcome sound, is a quieter, glassy, hissing sound. If you hear this sound, you have struck the porcelain of the bowl, which means one of two things. Either you are striking the rim of the bowl, or you have at least hit the inside of the bowl. If the latter happens, you're okay. You may want to make controlled, minute adjustments to see if you can't hear the splashing of water inside the bowl. So if you hear that hissing sound, just kind of move a little bit. If you don't hear water, you're going in the wrong direction. If the former, you're in somewhat of a volatile predicament. If you adjust the stream in the wrong direction, you hear nothing. Then you are now peeing on the floor. As stated above, this is bad and requires considerable cleanup. If, however, you adjust in the right direction, you will recognize the sound of striking the inside of the bowl or the splashing sound. Both mean that you have found your way to the target at last. Once there, continue your business until you have finished. I must interject here one last point. As your flow diminishes for some reason, and even if you are standing directly in front of the bowl, and it appears that even if the urine at this angle was directed straight down, you could not miss the bowl, you'll end up dribbling on the floor. I don't know how that happens. You're over the bowl, and all of a sudden, your urine defies gravity and drips on the floor. It's crazy. To avoid this, simply rotate your hips forward slightly. Adjust your stance that you are leaning slightly more over the bowl. At this point, I always listen for the pitter-patter of drops hitting the floor. And even if I hear no sound, I still check the floor to see if there are any drops of splatter. If I find any, and I almost always do, I wipe them before they dry. Otherwise, an accumulation of those dried drops will cause a negative reaction to your spouse. You'll see some discoloration around the bowl along the bottom of the base there, and in the caulking and stuff, and she'll know. And if it sits there too long, it kind of starts to smell bad. You know what I'm talking about, okay? Perhaps I should use the word strained or distressful when we're talking about your spouse's reaction, or maybe even the words agonizing, painful, instead of the word negative in that previous sentence. So here you have it, guys. Different sounds for being at different areas of the toilet room at night when the lights are off. I've given you some suggestions. Adapt them to your own situation, to the demeanor of your wife. If she sleeps real soundly with assistance of medication, or if she's on one of those CPAP machines, she won't hear anything. So you just got to watch the light. But use your best to follow the advice I give here in this book. And next time we're going to talk about the second part of urinating at night. So take care, aim carefully, and fire with precision. I'll talk to you soon.